Trucks like this one and many others in similar condition are responsible for the vehicle emissions that cause air pollution in the city of Kigali and other urban areas. People who live along the highways are concerned that vehicle emissions could expose them to acute respiratory infections. Oftentimes, children develop cough, sinus infections, which we think are related to vehicle emissions. Even the old people develop respiratory problems. It is easy to see air pollution caused by carbon emissions and dust. I'm sure yourself can see the roof of our house has been changing over time. A physician at Kigali University Teaching Hospital, Dr. Menoras Neshimana, says that heart disease, stroke, lung cancer and other respiratory problems are largely attributed to air pollution. Most respiratory diseases such as asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, lung infections and cancer are all caused by pollution. Research shows that pollution also causes heart diseases. In order to reduce air pollution, some businesses in Rwanda have started importing home appliances that are energy efficient with less carbon emissions. Electric cars are also expected to hit the streets of Kigali next month, according to local car dealers. People cook from their houses and you will not see any smoke coming out because technology has improved. Most of our home appliances do not release carbon emissions.
We should have 100 vehicles in the country by June 10th, and then we have already brought in the chargers, and subject to a number of meetings that are scheduled to happen between RDB, the utility company, and the Ministry of Infrastructure, we shall choose strategic locations where to place. Then we have already brought in the chargers, and subject to a number of meetings that are scheduled to happen between RDB, the utility company, and the Ministry of Infrastructure, we shall choose strategic locations where to place these fast chargers. Before that happens, we shall be giving out these vehicles with domestic chargers that will be installed at home and at the offices of the users to enable them charge their vehicles and utilize these vehicles.
During the recent cabinet meeting on May 18th, the government approved Rwanda's updated nationally determined contribution, NDC, to the Paris Agreement on climate change. Under the updated climate action plan, Rwanda seeks to cut down emissions by 38% before the year 2030, which is equivalent to an estimated mitigation levels of 4.6 million tons of carbon dioxide. Out of 38 of targeted emission reduction rate, 16% will be reduced through carbon cutting measures, while 22% of emissions will be reduced through adaptation by international support. Haman Hakuzimana, Director of Climate Change and Environment Agreements at Rwanda Environment Management Authority, explains how Rwanda intends to cut down emissions.
Baravuga bati dukomeje imirimo yacu mu buryo busanzwe.
In 2015, the world was emitting 5,300 million tons of carbon dioxide on average. That's why they best to say that if things remain like this, for industries, farmers, transport to operate under normal circumstances until 2030, emissions will multiply twice. To cut down emissions calls for change in the way we do things. The Minister of Environment, Dr. Jean-D'Arc Mujamaria, says that the country intends to reduce the importation of second-hand cars and cutting down the use of fossil fuels.
Our country has set a target of using electric cars and motorcycles to reduce on vehicle-related emissions and protecting our forests. Another measure is to significantly reduce the use of fossil fuels and domestic biomass cookstoves like wood and charcoal, and encouraging the use of LPG gas because we extract it locally. This will be supported by the already existing measures such as discouraging the importation of second-hand cars.
Rwanda will need about $11 billion to meet its climate action plan. About $5.5 billion will be used in carbon cutting measures, while $5.7 billion will go to climate adaptation. Through the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol, the world has set the 2030 target to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius to 1.5 degrees Celsius.